entry about a movie called Bomb Harvest, put out in 2007, about attempts to clean up cluster bomb fragments and remains and so-called duds that are still hot. I don't remember where I got the number from, but I believe the last I thought I knew, 75 million cluster bombs have been dropped on Laos. And now we're talking with Thomas Nash, and he's the coordinator of the campaign to make cluster bombs illegal on the planet Earth. And you said the numbers earlier about how many cluster bombs were dropped on Laos in that so-called secret, undeclared war during Vietnam.
That's right, yeah. Well, I mean, I think the figures that you're citing, the 70 million, there are around 280 million unexploded, 280 million submunitions, the individual bomblets from within the bigger cluster bomb, were dropped on Laos throughout that war. And the estimates are that...
That's almost as many people as in America right now. That's more than the population of the United States at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, if you compare it to the population of Laos, then it's mind-boggling, the number of bombs that were dropped per person there. And what they estimate is that, I mean, it's impossible to tell, but the estimates are that between 70 and 80 million unexploded submunitions remain on the ground in Laos, threatening to kill and injure people every day. So I mean, that's just Laos. So I mean, we've got similar, not the same scale, but we have problems in Lebanon. We still have problems in Iraq and Afghanistan. There are problems remaining throughout the Balkans from cluster bombs. Mines is another problem that is pervasive in a number of countries. So there's a huge challenge out there to, first of all, stop people from using these these unacceptable weapons, and then second of all, to get the international community to pull together and clear up the mess, help the survivors, and to prevent this from ever happening again.
My God, it sounds like a Iraq War-sized project to clean up these bombs. And, I mean, I guess Iraq is a desert. Afghanistan's mostly rubble of one kind or another, gravel. Cluster bomb units, I can imagine, at least the possibility of them being cleaned up. But the jungle in Laos, how do you clean up? How does one harvest cluster bombs in Laos?
Yeah, well, it is incredibly challenging. And, first of all, the priority areas are obviously the areas that are being used for agriculture. So part of the task of the local authorities who are in charge of cleaning up this deadly legacy in areas of priority, so areas of infrastructure and agriculture, and then clear those up, and then move to other areas that could be opened up for exploitation by development, by agriculture, by local communities. To compound the problem, you have, after 40 years, many of these unexploded bombs have been buried, and so you need to use things called large loop detectors, which are able to detect these bombs subsurface. And this is very, very time-consuming work. And you were mentioning earlier the diversion of resources. I mean, not only is this preventing development, preventing socioeconomic growth, but it's also diverting resources that could be put into humanitarian protection, into development, and instead putting them into clearance work and demining. And so the legacy is really shocking. And what we hope is that the United States, as the country that's responsible for this, will increase dramatically its contribution to clearance. And it should be said, to be fair, that the U.S. is the largest contributor to clearance of cluster munitions in Laos, and that's obviously welcome. But we believe it's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. And the increases that we've seen recently are positive from the United States. There's a group called Legacies of War, which has been advocating from D.C. about the need for the U.S. to increase its contribution, and they've had some success with a hearing in the Senate this year on the problem of UXO, unexploded ordnance in Laos. And I was talking to some of these guys here this week in New York, and there is a sense of hope now that this new administration may be more open to coming to terms with that history and to really stepping up to provide real support in a way that hasn't happened in the past. So we're hoping that we'll be able to keep pushing through these positive developments and really start to see the United States taking responsibility along with other countries to put an end to this suffering.
Well, you're right when you say that it's all about the attitudes. Even if you can't get Russia, China, and the United States to sign on to the thing yet, you can still get the recognition in people's minds of what's on this side of the line and what's crossing it. And who knows nowadays in an era of torture and all that. But at least as far as I know, Thomas, in World War II, during total war between the United States and the Allies versus the Nazis in Europe, they didn't use poison gas as they'd used in the First World War. Neither side did, because it was just too horrible. Let them kill each other with bullets and bombs, but man, poison gas is chlorine and mustard and all this. It's just too much. Let's not do it this time. And we could have that same attitude about cluster bombs. Lord knows we don't obey the United States government doesn't obey the international law anyway, but they can be made to obey certain mores, as far as what is just going way too far. I hope.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, I think that you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, the point is that even war has limits, and people have rejected poison gas, people have rejected blinding lasers, people have rejected exploding bullets. So people have taken that further in recent years and rejected landmines and rejected cluster munitions. And I think it's a positive sign that we as a human race do recognize that there are some things which are just unacceptable. And unfortunately, yes, we continue to fight and kill each other. And I think most people would agree that that's something we want to move away from, and try to prevent and try to think of ways to solve our problems that don't involve violence. And there are many communities in the world that are making progress on this. But what we need to do is focus on when there is a conflict, we need to stop civilians being caught in the crossfire, and we need to protect people from being killed and injured indiscriminately. And I think that's a positive sign that we've been able to achieve global treaties that ban landmines and ban cluster bombs. And we need to use these lessons to take further steps. I mean, nuclear weapons are still not illegal. We need to ban
there's a whole other conversation, and we're all out of time, Thomas. But everybody, that's Thomas Nash. Give us a web address real quick. Do you have one?
www.stopclusterbombs.org.
Stopclusterbombs.org. Thank you.